Hey everyone, this is Scott from the Scott Row Podcast. Welcome to our Captain Marvel movie review. I just got back from seeing the latest installment in the MCU, our first female-led MCU movie, and I really enjoyed this one, as I do with most superhero movies, but I felt that this one, along with every other MCU movie we've ever gotten, is just a above par superhero movie and above par action film, and I thought, again, they did a great job with this. I really enjoyed the Captain Marvel introduction, the origin story of Captain Marvel, the first origin story we've gotten a little bit where we didn't get a tease of the character beforehand, meaning when we had when Spidey got his own solo movie, he had already appeared in Civil War. Same with Black Panther. He had also appeared in Civil War before he got a solo film. So this was interesting to get into a origin story where we didn't have a glimpse of her beforehand. We didn't have much of an idea of what this character was, what Brie Larson was going to bring to the Captain Marvel character, and I thought she did a great job. I really enjoy how funny and what a smart ass she is, and the fact that she's a little bit of a rebel, a little bit of a rogue soldier, as Nick Fury calls her at one point. And I really enjoyed that. That's her character. She's someone that's like not just gonna listen to orders. She's gonna question them a little bit. And I'm just like, that's why I couldn't join the army or the armed forces, because I don't like taking orders. So I like that she's a little bit like hesitant to always listen to every order. She's not, completely like disobedient, but she does, have a mind of her own and does voice her opinion when she does think something's wrong. So I really enjoyed that aspect to her character, and I thought Brie Larson did a great job. I believe Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. That was one thing I was a little bit not sure about when she got casted. I was like, okay, I have to see her in action in order to be able to imagine it, and she did a great job. I at one point in this movie didn't believe that she could be Captain Marvel, that she could kick some ass like only Captain Marvel can. So I really enjoyed her origin story and what Brie Larson brought to the character and brought to this movie. I'm really glad that she's a part of the MCU now. I'm really curious to see her come back in Endgame and future movies. I'm curious to see maybe even if she's going to get a sequel in the near future or not, because I really enjoyed it. I thought she did a really great job. She's got that great balance of, serious but also funny, which the MCU is just known for doing a great job of, which I thought she fit in really well. I also like the fact that the 90s aesthetic, it felt, at no point did I feel like it didn't feel like the 90s, but also didn't take me out of the movie. I wasn't just too focused on like, oh, look it's all this 90s stuff. It was more just like a wink and a nod and kind of funny thing here and there, with the blockbuster, which we'd already seen in the first trailer, and then a nod. There was a Radio Shack, which I thought was a nice little fun nod. Then you got songs here and there that were just fun things. Stan Lee's cameo. Stan Lee's cameo is the best of all the 90 references in it. I thought that was the most clever, and just it's just brilliant. I don't want to spoil that one for you guys, but when you see it, you're just like, Speaking of Stan Lee, the tribute they did at the beginning of the movie to Stan Lee, I thought was just beautifully done. A great tribute to the man who pretty much created this whole universe that we enjoy today. So that was a nice little nod to him as well. Speaking of some of these little extra things, we got the two post-credit scenes. For those of you who have not seen this movie yet, stay for the first one. Don't waste your time with the second one. The second one doesn't do much at all. You have to wait for however long the whole credits are to get to it, and it was a little bit of a waste of time. It's something you can definitely wait for when it comes out on DVD. But that first post-credit scene is great. A direct tie to Avengers Endgame. You get a little idea about how Captain Marvel then ties into Avengers Endgame. So I really enjoyed the first one, but like I said, if you haven't seen this one yet, don't stick around for the second post-credit scenes. Just trust me. If you do, you'll be like, oh, I should have listened to that guy I saw on the internet. Yeah, you should have. I wish I hadn't stayed for it. It didn't provide enough for the fact that I'd stay for an extra 5 minutes and then leave the theater with everybody else. I would have liked to have left before everybody else. I don't like crowds. I'm not good on crowds. That's not the point. The point is more thoughts about Captain Marvel, which I really enjoyed. I thought the plot was really interesting. It took a turn. It took a different direction than I thought it was going to be based off the trailers we had already gotten. I thought it was taking a certain just basic route, but it did throw a couple twists and turns in there that I thought were really interesting and different take on this story. I really enjoyed a little bit of a twist with who Marvel ended up actually being in the movie, from like the comics to the movie, and how she got her powers. they updated that a little bit, which I really enjoy. The MCU has done a great job of taking like the essence of all the comic book origins for these superheroes, but updating it a little bit to make it just a little bit more believable. Yes, Iron Man is very much the exact same, but Cap's slightly changed, and a few of them are a little bit different than their comic book origins, and hers is pretty close to being spot on, but just a little tweak to make it seem a little bit more real. Well, realistic isn't the right word for it, but a little bit more plausible, I guess, in the MCU universe. But yeah, some of the other things that were interesting about this, we get a lot with the cat, which I kind of saw coming when they put it in that first poster that we saw, when you see that little outline of it. And for those of us who have read any Captain Marvel comics, we know a little bit about that cat already, but I do enjoy the way they played with it. It was a lot of obvious things. If you've read any of the Captain Marvel, I don't want to say any of the Captain Marvels, if you read a certain ones of the Captain Marvel books, you know exactly what goes on with this cat, and you're not surprised by anything the cat does. But otherwise, it's still just a fun little thing that they add in there. I love that Nick Fury just loves this freaking cat so much. Speaking of Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson looked just so good through this whole film. I did notice a couple times the way they did shoot it in a way that it made it easier on them. There's a few times where he's behind, he's in the shot, but he's just slightly out of focus because we're focused on Carol or Captain Marvel at the time, so he's just in the background. So I'm like, I saw a couple places where I'm like, okay, this is where you guys are, not, I don't want to say tricking us, but hiding it a little bit so you don't have to work quite as hard. But nonetheless, it never took me out of it. I was always just like, yeah, that's young Samuel Jackson the whole time, the whole movie. Not once was it like, and then there's Clark Gregg, who to me is just like Samuel Jackson, who's always looked like a 40-year-old man. Well, not Samuel Jackson has always looked like a 40-year-old man. What I mean is Clark Gregg's always looked like a 40-year-old man. He's not aged in like 40 years, I think. I don't know how old he is. If you told me he was 30, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it. If you told me he was 70, I'd be like, he looks great for his age. I know he's not 70s. I think he's just in his 40s or 50s. My point is, though, I thought he looked great. I could have used more of him. We didn't get as much Coulson as I would have liked. I love me some Coulson. I really do. I could have used a little bit more of him. But this was a Captain Marvel movie, so I'll have to go back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But yeah, it was still great to see him the couple times we did. What else did I already mention? How I liked her powers, and I already mentioned the post-credit scenes. But yeah, so that's pretty much covered all my thoughts about this Captain Marvel film, this latest edition in the MCU. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anybody who has seen an MCU movie and enjoyed it, or anyone who likes a good superhero movie or a good action film with a female lead. Not even that matters. I just, those are two separate points. This is a great movie that just has a female lead, and it's a great action film in general, and I just really enjoyed it overall. But be sure to let me know in the comments below if you've seen Captain Marvel, what your thoughts were, and if you haven't, if you're going to be seeing it or not. Thanks again for joining me today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and have a good one.